Hello, everyone, and welcome to the American Scousers Premier League panel show. I am finally back on this panel. It's been a while, man. Like I saw Shay, I was like, God damn, it's been a while. I realized how long it's been once I saw Shay. But we have Shay here, representing Villa. How's it going?
Doing good. How are you?
Not too shabby. Hanging in there, in good moods. Three
Nice.
games, 9 points. We'll get to all that. Alex is with us as well. Alex, what's going on?
Hey, nothing much. Nothing much at all.
And Ellen was supposed to join us, but he didn't because Arsenal lost points. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. That's not why he joined. He didn't join us because Rice got a red card. No, just kidding. He didn't join us because he's dealing with some stuff. He might be able to hop on later on, so I'm sure he will. I was actually hoping to just give it to him, go away for 10 minutes, make some coffee, come back while he complains about the Rice red card and stuff like that. But we'll get to all that. We'll get to all that as we go. So here's what I wanted to start with. Obviously, you guys have been talking about it like in the past as well, but we just passed the deadline. So at this point, it is what it is in terms of like the business that the clubs have done. Kind of wanted to get your guys' take, first of all, on how you felt your guys did. So, Alex, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
These are your incomings. This is Transfer Market telling us this. So if there's anything missing, it's not on me, but on them. Emil Smith-Rowe, obviously, Anderson, Sanderberg, and Jorge Cuenca. Cuenca? Is that what it is?
Cuenca, yeah.
Cuenca. But then obviously, and then I thought this was a good steal from Tottenham, actually, Sessegnon coming over, and then Reece Nelson right towards the end over there. I guess this is the big one, though. Polinia leaving finally after that long saga with Bayern, and then Stansfield going to Birmingham, which was kind of like a shocking deal for the price, going to League One. I mean, we think of like, Liverpool does some robbery, sometimes Edwards and stuff like that, but holy cow, that is crazy money.
Alex, I appreciate that because you hosed Birmingham City and they lost today. And that $21 million forward they played couldn't hit a barn door. So
yeah, Stansfield.
Yeah,
I didn't watch today. Yeah, I mean, this thing was. I'll start with Stansfield just because we're there. I think, he was a guy that Marco Silva pretty extensively about. There needs to be a path for him, and there is a path for him, and we want there to be a way for him into the first team. And I think this is a year that he was going to be in the squad every match and had that chance. But when a League One side comes to you and says, we'll give you 15 plus 5 add-on, I mean, you don't say no to that. So that sucks to lose Jay Stansfield with $15 million for a striker who I think has two senior appearances, I think I'm right. That's impossible to say no to, which is what Birmingham City wanted. They wanted to make an offer you couldn't say no to.
So what is the vibe for I mean, is that how most Fulham fans kind of like approach it? Like you kind of looked forward to seeing the potential of this kid, but can't say no to that money. Similar to, I guess, Paulinho ordeal, right?
Yeah, I think a lot of folks, when there are rumblings of Stansfield potentially going, are really upset and said, if we sell another youth player without giving them a real chance, like what are we doing here? And then when the fee came out, almost to a person, everyone said, okay, well, that sucks, but like, what are you going to do if a League One club is offering you £15 million plus another 5? I mean, it is what it is. So
the hell with youth.
No, honestly, it was like, oh, okay. Paulinho is different. I think a lot of folks didn't blame him at all for the saga in the winter window of. I mean, he was in Munich. He was at Bayern taking photos with his kit, and the deal fell through. So. What a devastating thing for him personally and professionally. And then, so no one was going to begrudge him this move. He came back and fought for the club the whole rest of the way. And then it was time. So good for him. They squeezed what they could out of it. And then with the Mitro money last year, the Paulinho money this year, and then finally having the bad transfer window of 18-19 off the PSR or FF, whatever it's called now. That's finally off the books. And I think this year we saw Fulham actually start to splash some of the cash and not be so constrained. But that's a big thing for clubs that are like, I guess Villa's rising a little bit above out of it, but for clubs that are not Liverpool and City and United, like PSR now is the big deal. And this like really hamstrings your ability to sign players. And Fulham have been living that for the last 5 years. They had one big outlay and that has killed them. So we're seeing some of the stability, which is nice.
Honestly, I think overall we saw a really dip in prices and money being spent too. I think everybody's kind of a little bit scared of that. I mean, all these like the 3 digits numbers just disappeared. You saw a lot of people going for like 30s, 40s, 50s. as opposed to like, the last couple of summers, it was 80, 90, 100, 110, like some crazy numbers. Thank God for Chelsea for boosting up the numbers for everybody. But so how would you rate it overall with these incomings and stuff like that as a Fulham fan? If you graded it, let's do 0 to 10, 10 being the best offseason of all time. What do you put in that?
I mean, to me, it's a solid 7.5. I think depending on how well players pan out, it might turn to an 8. But I think they got some guys in for areas of need. I mean, the 4 center backs now are Bassi, Diop, Anderson, and Cuenca. It's not a bad center back quadruple there. And then Sanderberger in the midfield. You can't replace João Paulinho 1-for-1. Like, there's just no one really on the market right now that we could do that with. So to bring in a couple guys who can kind of platoon that and see what sticks, I think that's a good idea. So Sanderberger in there. Sessegnon, we took a flyer on Sessegnon. It's a free transfer, and welcome home, Sess. So if he can step in there and make an impact in the cup or something else, good. So I think honestly easily 7 out of 10. I would have loved to seen maybe another midfielder come in, and then obviously a striker or someone up top would have been real nice. But the market just wasn't there for that, I guess. So we're gonna ride with Muniz.
Well, I mean, somebody busy in the market is Jesus Christ, Villa. I mean, holy cow! I was actually shocked that Diaby was gone. Were you, Shay?
Yeah, okay. Because we all got him for a year, and I was excited. Like, here's somebody that's been a very electric player that a lot of teams wanted. He did really well at Borussia Mönchengladbach, but then, I mean, you can't turn down an offer if the Saudi Arabian clubs are coming in and we're going to overpay $10 million. Yeah. We're like, hey, thanks for everything. I appreciate it. And I kind of told some of my friends and, Villa people too, I don't think he actually enjoyed England and the culture. I think he's a very reserved family person, and, him being a practicing Islamist, going over there, he could do what he wanted to do. The only bad thing about that is just because, you lose somebody with that much pace. I don't think we actively replaced that yet. Another big one that definitely is going to hurt us was losing Douglas. But then I read an article today that if we wouldn't have done that, we would have had the Everton Leicester City 10-point deduction. So, how Alex was saying, they are punishing the teams that aren't punching above a little bit of what they want to punch, because God forbid they start touching the big six. Or how we say Chelsea over here just spending an absurd amount of money. The window, the glass has got to break here eventually. So, and I'm kind of there with Alex. It was really good to see. I think Onana is going to be the biggest one. He's just, all the Everton fans are punching the air right now because for the whole summer they're like, oh, he's crap, he's not good, and here he is, absolutely dominating for us. And the dude is absolutely massive. I got to see him in person in Columbus during the summer. Huge human being, and I mean, he's our top goal scorer right now, which is kind of crazy. So the biggest concern for us was who's going to replace the goals that Diaby gave us and Douglas Luiz, and Onana's doing it. Seeing Ian Maatson was really massive. We kind of worked that deal with Chelsea. Hey, we'll buy one of yours, you buy one of our kind of players. And he's a high upcoming potential left back, which we haven't had that in a long time. So we'll see. And then, he's bringing back some of the players that we've had in our previous squad. So I think we were kind of doing that. We quote unquote sent them on loan, even though we sold them first and brought them back for less money. But it's just a way to get our finances in order. But I was a little bit disappointed that, once we bought those, we did the player swap for, whenever we sold Douglas, we got those 2 kids from Juve and instantly sent them on loan. So that's kind of alarming because, with us having all these games coming up, do we have enough depth? Are they going to be able to stay healthy enough? But we'll see. I believe in Unai. I think he'll be fine. And hopefully the players, once they get settled in, will be all right. So I'm right there with Alex, about a 7. We'll see how they turn out to be about an 8.
One thing I'm wondering is I wanted to ask about Jaden from Hull City there.
Yep.
The reason I ask is I know about the kid mainly because I'm originally from Turkey, and the owner of Hull City is a Turkish dude who's also in Fenerbahce's board and stuff. And this was a guy that he was raving about in terms of finding the diamond in the rough and stuff like that. And Hull City is we're gonna sell him for so much money, which 16 million is pretty darn good money for Hull City. They can turn it around to multiple players. But have you seen enough of him? Is he all that he's made out to be? Because there were a lot of clubs going after him, so he was.
Yeah, well, he was originally our player. He came through our academy, so we've had him, and I think that was a thing too. When Emery came in, he was pushing for the first team window or first team starts, but I just think at the time, we had Diaby, had Leon Bailey, so I don't think he was going to get a chance. So I ended up selling him. And some of the things I heard from the whatever is Monchi, I forgot what his role is. Like he's the one that does all the dealings and all this stuff. And he came out and said Emery wanted him back. He was like, "Hey, how can we get Jaden back? I want him back on the team to play with him." So I think he saw what he did, like finally, growing into his form and seeing him, but having to pay a little bit extra money for a player that we had once on the books already. We sold him and then rebuy him back. So we'll see how he does.
I was going to say, like, how is that taken? I mean, it's no Pogba for 100 million, but still, like, it's a guy that you had and then you pay 16 to get him back. Is that like, then why the fuck did we sell him? Kind of an ordeal, or
a little bit? But then it's also like, I mean, when you see how big the team is, quote unquote, and you're not going to get any time. It's almost like this point, hey, if you can get money for him, put a buyback clause in, you might as well do that. Because sometimes the loans aren't going to really work out. I think this works out a little bit better for both clubs because you're getting an initial fee at the first time. And then if they do show promise and do well at the clubs that they're at, you have a buyback clause where you're like, hey, you're still going to get money for them.
Yeah.
Not what you were going to get in the market, but we get first dibs, quote unquote, and you're still going to get a decent fee. So I like that a little bit more. And I think more teams should probably start doing that. I just don't know how that works in negotiations because a lot of times the clubs, when they're loaning / buying, they don't want to pay full price. So
yeah,
that was the biggest issue with us currently. Like we have all those signings that came during Gerard's tenure that are on super high wages that we cannot get rid of. I think that's what hurt us also in the window. Like we were maxed out. Like at the beginning, it was really cool. We're seeing all these people come in like, oh, okay, this is going to be a great window. And then it just went silent because then you realize you had Donker you had to get rid of, Diego Carlos, like Luka Dean is still here, but he's our highest paid earner. And like he's at least re-cemented his place back. But we sent Alex Moreno on loan. Like all these guys are on like 80 to 130,000 a week, and we can't afford it in the sense of if we try to buy new players, we're not gonna be able to afford it. Especially like I said with PSR. And then I guess I didn't realize that Champions League or UEFA has a salary cap that they have in place. So like we also had to fall under that. So like we couldn't buy anybody else to compete with the UEFA salary cap, and then the Premier League over here, like, hey, you can't be doing this. But I will say, what I did find hilarious is how Everton, Villa, and Chelsea, found a loophole and they instantly cut that off when they saw that we did that.
Yeah,
the buying and selling back and forth.
Yeah.
Like
we sold.
You take care of me, I take care of you.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's how we did the whole. That's how I think we got Mattson. We sold him one of our youth players for like 20 million. Like, well, you can have Mattson for 35. I was like, hey, I like this. This is nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll go over Liverpool real quick because there's not much to go over, so it should be real quick. Most of them are outgoings. I thought we got really good value for Carvalho and Sepp van den Berg. I mean, we thought when they went to the preseason, are they getting a look? Now looking back, I think they both did well in preseason. I don't think they were getting a look. I think we just needed bodies and on the pitch, and we wanted to increase their value, which I think we did, especially both of them. I think they were, if we sold them before coming to the US, they were probably not going for the money they want. But we got that money out of them. A lot of like outgoings and loans and stuff like that for kids. Incomings. We got a goalie, which everybody was shocked about, which is, obviously it's an investment for long term and for Ellison. I think like seeing especially what happened with City and Ederson and stuff like that with Saudis kind of like sniffing around, trying to pry him away. This is a good insurance policy. And, a lot of Liverpool fans complain that we did not do anything to, I mean, that's like the biggest issue right now is those 3 contracts of Van Dijk and Trent and Mo. But, you can't complain about that. Then also complain about us signing a goalie, and basically I wish we did the same thing with the other players. So there is like an insurance policy and replacement in place. And then Chiesa comes through at the end. I mean, for 12 million, if that pans out to be, that is probably like could be the steal of the offseason over here. And if it doesn't, it's only a 12 million risk. But everybody whines about his like injury history, but he's played a ton of games last year. It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to get back to speed? I think it's a good investment because we saw it in like Van Dijk. When you come from an injury like that, it usually takes a season before you're back to your best self. And there you go. His season has gone, so hopefully he will be his best self. But I think mainly because we haven't done the extensions and stuff like that, I give it like a 6.5, 7 myself. But so far the results are good. I think that kind of increases the score because basically they had a lot of good pieces already. This was a good squad, and they just gave Slot a chance to do it. So we'll see how it goes. Confidence there.
Can I say one thing about Carvalho? You can't, I mean, as a Fulham guy, I can't leave that without saying one thing. Like, this kid, the only people that made out well from this are Liverpool and his agent, right? Like, I mentioned this when he went to Liverpool. Every Fulham fan is like, this isn't going to go well for him. Like, this isn't going to be a good move for his career. And look at this. He got loaned. What did he get loaned out to last year? Championship.
Initially,
right?
he went to Leipzig. That didn't pan out. I think it
No.
was Leipzig. Then he came back. He went to Hull City, where he did really well.
He did. But that's the thing. Like, you help your central cog in this Fulham team to go up. You get good looks as you deserve. You're a great player. You go off to Liverpool. Everyone says you could have used another year, and you would have been a starter in a starting 11 in a Premier League squad. You go off, get loaned out to Germany, doesn't go well. Come back, get loaned back to the Championship, and then you get sold to a team that's pretty much worse off than the team that you left 3 years ago. Yeah. It's like, and this kid hasn't played any first team football except for in the Championship. Like, what are we doing?
I mean, honestly, in the beginning, I don't think he was fitting the system. Klopp was never going to use him. No. And honestly, as I watched the kid and watched him in this offseason as well, I just do not like his body language. I just despise his body language. Of like, he thinks higher of himself.
I wonder how. Like, it's so crazy. Yeah, man, he gets told he's everything, and he gets bought by Liverpool. Right?
Exactly. I think that's what partially it is. I think that really went to his head, and then he didn't get his chance. And I thought he was going to get his chance. Yeah. Just his body language of, I know there's so many players on this team that are doing whatever it takes to earn a spot and playing out of position or whatever it takes. And like, instead of doing that, going to the media constantly saying like, that's not my spot, I play here. Dude, you're a squad player. You play where I tell you to play. Relax. Yeah, and not to mention, you're 21 years old.
22, whatever it is.
And do it. So it's, Cersei says, and I know he's not being real with this. There has to be a ton of people on this. I get a 10 in terms of, I know he's not. He would be a 10. I know, Cersei, if we sign Mane back or something like that. But, I mean, I think that whole Zubimendi thing was obviously that's why it says the above message is sponsored by Michael Edwards. I think, if that Zubimendi thing happens, it will like take us over the top. But honestly, that's only because I have so much faith in this, like Edwards and Hughes and stuff. I only know Zubimendi from like the Euros and stuff like that. And so like everybody was suddenly like, because we went after him, everybody thought so highly of him. So when we didn't get him, people were jumping off like the ledge. And I'm like, dude, like you didn't even think about this guy like 2 weeks ago. And now that is not. I'm just glad that they went after a guy they really identified. When it didn't pan out, they weren't like, well, I guess we'll get this. And then come back with something else from the shop. And I was like, dude, that's not even what we ordered. Just because it looked like it, don't bring it home.
Speaking of people who got hyped when Liverpool went after them, was Liverpool in for Andre at the beginning, like last transfer window?
Yeah.
And so Fulham were into him, and then Liverpool were in. I think United might have been there, and it got hyped up as like, who's going to win? And he ends up going to Wolves for like.
Yeah, and I thought he was going to Fulham. Like they were
was.
Fulham stepped in. They're going to steal us from him, and everybody was like, "We need Andre." I'm like, you don't even know Andre. Like you just.
No one has ever watched him play. No one has seen a minute of this man play football, and everyone's like, "He's gonna. This is it. This is the midfielder of the future. He's gonna be great."
I always say this. I'm just gonna make myself a good old fashioned YouTube video of my indoor soccer, and then just like throw it over there, and people go like, "We need this old man on our team."
Yeah, I hope he does well, but man, he was the future.
In this modern age, we would all learn to not take everything from YouTube highlights.
Yeah, and like if you notice those, even in those YouTube highlights, it cuts off right after the pass. Yeah. So that pass that not really go where it was supposed to go, and that's why you cut. Or like he cuts to the corner. So the cross was shit because that's where you cut that clip.
Boy, they saw the one little move that he made, and not him getting absolutely derailed when the guy came in and tackled him. Finished the play. I'll say actually, the only YouTube one that we take 100%, to the thing is anything that shows Anthony in it, because he's just an absolute disaster class of a player. So
that's fair.
His little fidget spinner move.
That's fair.
Anytime, Anthony, you see that one, you trust those YouTube highlights.
We're gonna have a lot of fun with those guys. Okay, let's start the party over here. Last week's games, Arsenal won, Brighton won. The reason why Alan is not here, no, just kidding. Poor Alan, he's dealing with so much with like his landlord and the roommates and all that kind of stuff. So, so his roommate showed Declan Rice the red cards. I'm sure you guys have seen this because obviously it's the talk of the town. Shay, I'll start with you. What do you make of it? I saw it afterwards. I was supposed to get up for this, mind you, because Brighton signed Ferdi Kadolu from Fenerbahce. But then when he got injured, I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to get up at 6:30 to watch this game. My brother actually did watch it. He's the one who was like, oh, you got to see this red card and stuff. What do you make of that red card?
I'll be honest with you, I don't think I truly understood what it was for and why he got it. But, it's kind of funny just to see now that Arsenal fans are up in the middle completely. I'll take it. I wish Alan was here because I'd give him crap. After he gave me crap last week, I was like, oh, man. Your star boy gets a yellow for doing I don't even know what, but more power to the ref. I'm on the ref side this time, VAR.
I don't even care what happened, but the first one is a clear yellow. The first one is a clear yellow. There's no.
No, but when I saw the little bit, the first shot, they were kind of tangling and whatever, and it kind of looked like to me that the Brighton guy is the one that kind of instigated it, and that's the only part that I saw. So I don't know what either if Declan said something and the ref just wasn't having it on Arsenal's side, and I don't know, Danny.
Well, he kicks the ball away. That's what the second one.
Kicked the ball away. That's what the second yellow is for. So I get that because he was already on a yellow, but the ref should have just been like, look, you got the foul, dude. It's fine. Yeah. So I think he lost the plot a little bit, and then of course when Brighton fans are paying attention, and now Arsenal fans are all hating on Danny Welbeck, like, oh, he's dead to us, and this, and this. I was like, well, if anything, that shows you how much of a senior player he is because he knew that he had a yellow card. Yeah. And he even told the refs, like, hey, that's a yellow offense. And the refs, like, I mean, technically it is in the rules of the game. You can't do that. So he did it to himself. So Arsenal fans complaining about it, Arteta probably complaining about it. I mean, like, well, maybe teach your players not be a bunch of dumbasses, especially the club, not club captain, but your $100 million player who's the rock in the middle should be a little bit smarter than that. So,
Alex, what's your take?
Yeah,
man, I wish definitely.
I know.
Oh my God! But we have to mute him. We'd have to mute him until we're done talking. So no, I think
watch him.
The first thing, turn his camera off. The first one was a yellow. The first one's yellow for sure. I think this is a clear example. You see this every now and again, where I think the ref, being generous, just kind of forgets that he already gave a yellow, and so you can kind of see it as he gives a yellow and walks up on his face, where he's like, I should have just kept this in my pocket, but I already pulled it out. I got to do it. And I think to be for the referee fraternity of refs, they'd probably look at this and be like, keep the card in your pocket next time. Like, have a talking to. You don't want to send off a star player for this bullshit. But to be fair, Declan Rice, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? This is a point of emphasis this year. I think last year too. You can't get away with that stuff. They've been instructed they have to give a yellow card. And granted, the referee could have a little discretion and be like, okay, cool it. I understand he kicked you. You kicked I get it. It's a wash. But if anything, if you're going to give Declan a yellow card, I'm not sure how the Brighton guy didn't get a yellow because it wasn't like he set the ball down to restart play and Declan kicked it away. He kind of rolled it forward a little bit and then went to go kick it. So it's not like he was trying to restart play. He anticipated that Declan was going to be a dick about it and then went to go kick it to make a show of it. And whacked him on the leg. So I don't know how they both didn't get a yellow there, but
I think the biggest thing, I'll speak for Alan here because I know this is what he's gonna say because they showed something from the first half. I think it's João Pedro that just boots the ball after the play is over and does not get anything for it. And we talked about this almost every week, the inconsistency, right? That's what gets to us more than anything like that. Because I think. I mean, you're right. What is Declan Rice thinking? Because that is a yellow card. And that is not even, the thing is, been there, done that. You look at Declan there in the second one. He is not kicking that ball away to delay the game. He's kicking that ball away just to be an asshole. Because you can see he looks over his shoulder and he just does it for almost like spite just to piss him off. And you know what? It's a brain fart moment. It should be a yellow. And that's the thing that, what you said, it just reminds me of oh, it's not, like NBA playoffs, like it's a total different set of rules compared to regular season. It's like, this is playoff basketball. It's the same goddamn game. It should be the same rule. So if he had a yellow before, I mean, I kind of almost applaud the fact that he showed the red, but I think you are right. He was probably like, oh shit, I did show him a yellow, didn't I? Kind of a moment. Yeah. But it should be, if it's a second yellow, it should be a second yellow. But I know, like I say, what Alan would say, and he would be right in that. It would be the inconsistency of, like the overall, the first one not being called. But, it all goes back to Odegaard jumping and like a goalie in the box, handball, not called last year. So what goes around comes around.
It's a testament to the training too, that the ref automatically pulled the yellow card out. Like that's the training. That if he kicked the ball away, it's a yellow. So it's a testament to, it was an automatic yellow. And then he's kind of like, oh shit. But I mean, that's what we want to have. That's what we want to have. So.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be, because, I mean, I hate some of the pundits, Ryan says, evening boys, I think Rice should have known better on a yellow. Exactly. And I think, a lot of like the people are saying like, oh, you don't want to lose a player because of that. The ref should have given him a talking to. Okay, so if it's a peon, he's going to get a red card. But if it's Rice, he's going to get one more chance. That's the kind of stuff that gets to me. And I'm sure it gets to you guys more than us, because I'm sure when you guys, play top 6 teams and stuff like that, I think it's like the most common complaint that, the big shot will not see it, whereas maybe a regular player would.
Yeah.
Let's keep going over here. Oh, man, I wish Alan was here. Dealing with cops. Forest won, Wolves won. I honestly, like, for these games to make it interesting, I put some money as a parlay bet, and I am glad to announce that Forest and Fulham are the teams that fucked me over. I really thought they both would win. What are you clapping for? I picked you guys. You guys didn't win.
That's fair. Okay, that's fair. I don't know. It was like a Liverpool fans upset. I just had to clap. I don't know. Yeah.
Leicester City won, Villa 2. I honestly thought this would be almost easier. I honestly expected a higher scoring game. What do you make of that win? I mean, it's still an away win is 3 points, and it's a big win either way. But what do you make of it?
It was good. It was a good bounce back because, like I said, like last week we got exposed of just not being able to finish and losing to Arsenal. It was early in the season. It was always tough, but then coming back was really good to see. The only bad part is I don't think Ollie is fully healthy, so he must have got hurt in England. Didn't tell anybody. My boy's off of it. It's bad. He just pulled out of the England squad today too to go back to rehab. So I don't know what's wrong with him. So and that going back to our old transfer thing, now I'm a little worried. Here's your main striker. We have one striker on the board who tried to actively leave the entire summer. It was actually a complete child, which he is. But I love him because he's a complete chaos agent. Comes in, scores the winning goal. So I was like, you know what, all's forgiven, Duran. But I think I said last week. I think I said a 2-1. We were going to scrape it out because I just had the feeling it's Jamie Vardy. Like I've always said, he is the ultimate shit house of a player, and I feel like he would have been the guy to at least do something. So it was good to get this win, and now we have to play Everton. So hopefully we can just keep piling on that misery just for y'all. I know y'all love it.
See if you can give him like a 3-goal leads and then come back from that. Let's raise the bar a little bit.
Yeah, but now this is just where the test comes in. Like already early, we have he's not hurt. But, he's not at full form, and we have to maybe ride with Duran and see if this is the chance that he gets to take to either cement his place as – I don't think he'll be the starter because you can't just bench Ollie like that. But Emery's going to have a hard time. He's going to figure out, like, who do I play, in what games and going forward.
I mean, we were talking about this for Liverpool, so let me ask you. I'll start with you, Shay, for your team, and then when we get to Fulham, I want to know what Alex is too. But, there are times where the international break comes, you're like, thank God, because we kind of needed that. And there are times where it comes, you're like, God damn it, not now, kind of an ordeal. Where do you stand on this international break for Villa?
It probably came at a good time because I think after Mings, it will be 100%, Emi Buendia will be 100%. So those are two – not new signings, but it'll be like new signings because they haven't played in over a year. Give that time for Ollie to get recovered and stuff. And then we have to play Champions League as soon as we come back from international break. So our first match back after the break is our first Champions League game, which I'm excited for. So we also kind of got the hardest group. You get Bayern, Red Bull Leipzig. I think we have Dortmund. I was like, this is crazy. They really don't want us to go. They really don't want us to go. They really don't want us to go very far. They're like, yeah. Have fun.
I don't get me started on that. The new Super League, if you will, that's coming to TV screen soon. Ipswich won. Goddamn Fulham won. What the hell happened there? I mean, I guess you're lucky Forest didn't win and Fulham is the only one that's because I would have. So, I mean, do you take that as a, because I know you always talk about, what defines the season is what you do against these teams. So is that like a 0.1 or 2 points loss going?
No, it's 2 points loss. I don't know if I said this in the first pod of the year, but like, I think Ipswich and Leicester are going to be fighting for spot number 16 there, or 17, excuse me. And so you don't want to drop points. I think a lot of Fulham fans were looking at it saying it wasn't quite a match where you say, I'll take a point now. Because I think realistically, you have to look at these matches against these lower teams as 3 points. You have to. But I mean, it's looking at it, it's like, okay, Ipswich got what? Liverpool, and did they play City in week 2? Ipswich, didn't they? Or did they play?
Yes.
Right.
They had Austin.
Realistically, this was Ipswich's first match of the year. And realistically, this is their first home match. So they were going to be up for it. And they were. And the goal they scored was ridiculous. It was unbelievable. So it's when you shrug your shoulder at that, I think it exposed a little bit of Fulham of just Fulham fans a little nervous that Rodrigo Muniz needs to kind of find that form again. I think we've seen so far this year, we don't really know where the goals are going to come from because they're not coming yet. Sitting on 4 points after 3 games, not the end of the world. I still feel good about it. But yeah, this is when you look at it as 2 points dropped. I mean, a point on the road is a point on the road, but a point on the road to a team that's going to be fighting for their lives is not what you want to seek. So definitely a bummer.
National break comes in a good time or a bad time?
Yeah, I was just thinking that most of the time you're right. You can say, Jesus, I'm glad we get to the international break. This time it's kind of meh. I mean, it's like if we had gone back and we're going to play this weekend, I'd be like, all right, time for West Ham. It's because we get West Ham after the break. So it's kind of like, it is what it is. I think it'll help maybe get some of the guys who aren't going off to national teams a chance to bed in a little bit more and drill and get better. But yeah, I know. I was going to say that. I'm like, normally I have an answer for that. And now it's like, it is what it is. I don't know.
No, I can see that. Because it came almost like too early. You're like, I don't know.
It's really early.
I think that's early just because we had 2 big international tournaments. Like we've had soccer all year round for the first time in a long time. So it's like, wow, already another break. Like international's back already. Like,
I think you're right. I think that's why I
go play for the national team right now because like I just got back to my club. So
we were just enjoying it again. Yeah,
I know.
Brentford 3, Southampton 1. I'm already worried about Southampton, to be honest with you. But the only thing a little less funny than Manchester United misery is Everton misery. So this was my Saturday entertainment because I laughed and I laughed and I laughed. Watching Pickford and Sean Douche misery just made my Saturday over there. What do you make of that, Alec?
Can you look at the go back to the thing and look at all the lengths of the highlight packages? Can you imagine being an Everton fan? It is double the length of every other package. Oh my God. So that kept us entertained. There are a couple of guys at the bar and we were watching the Fulham match and it was teetering out towards a 1-1 draw. And we're like, this is dumb. But that kept us entertained because it was like, they scored one. And then we look over the TV and like, they scored another one. Holy shit, they scored a third. So Everton are in real trouble. I said, I think to a couple of friends, a week or 2 ago, like this is the year I think they go down. Like they legitimately could go down. They have a lot of guys hurt. Even with those guys back, they're not good. They're not off to a good start. They need to be beating Bournemouth at home. And to give up a lead like that is pretty much, that's a huge gut punch for a season. And there's a lot of football left, I know, but that's not a good sign.
Not a good. I mean, here's the thing, and I was watching, like some of the Everton fan reactions on YouTube and stuff like that. I mean, nobody hates Sean Douche more than I do because nobody else calls him Sean Douche but me. But I mean, is it that's just the mindset, Shay, of safety first to the point where I mean, they did have some chances that they could have really put that game away. But people were blaming him. And, I'm the last guy to defend Sean. But, some of the fans were blaming him for taking, like, Calvert-Lewin out in the 88th minute and stuff like that. I mean, at that point, whatever, like, you should be able to put the game away. That substitution has nothing to do with it. What is it? Are they just waiting for – because sometimes you have teams that are on a roll. And you're like, they have the confidence of something is eventually going to work. So we keep going at it. And you have teams where, I mean, this happens in like NFL and stuff too. Like they'll have a lead. You're like, it's about to collapse. Just wait. And then it collapses like as expected. Is that what it is? Is it a mindset? What is it?
I mean, I agree with you too. Like, the striker should have no effect on the defense because he is sitting up top. He's not trotting back there to stop the 2 goals. Like, I watched the last 2 goals, and it was just a complete breakdown in the defense.
Yeah.
Your center forward striker is not going to be back there, like, unless it's Harry Kane, because he does that to England just to piss everybody off. But that wasn't them. That was just the team. I don't know, either I can't even say lack of inexperience. Like, you have Tarkowski and Keane, who have played numerous Premier League games. Seamus Coleman has been one of the most consistent right backs. And now he's finally shown his age where he's like, hey, he may have lost it. But like, that's wild to just completely break down like that. And I was just looking at the table. They're already minus 8 goal difference. Like, they have, or they've scored, but like, they don't look like they can score the goals to compete with it. And it's kind of alarming because they may be the first. I don't want to say, what was the team last year? Was it Sheffield that like had the worst goal? Yeah, like, I don't want to say they're going to be like that, because when I look at the back four, like, they should not be that bad. But then sometimes,
especially playing for Shandush, who like thinks nothing but defense, and that should be something they should be hanging their hat on. You would think.
I don't know if it's just something, and there's a bug going around where there's like, we suck and we just cannot do this, because there truly aren't that bad of a team. Like I said, compared to Ipswich, compared to Southampton, like, the players are not that bad. Like, these are all Premier League starters, massive years of experience, and like, Pickford's the England #1. He shouldn't be this bad. Like, it's kind of crazy. So obviously you like it for the banter, because hey, Liverpool, as this is a Liverpool heavy podcast, but like, it's just crazy, because like, when they go down, I'm telling you now, if they do go down, it's going to be a very, very long time for them. And I don't want to say it's going to be like Portsmouth, where they've just completely fell off, but it could be, because they have to not pay for that stadium. That's going to destroy them.
It's going to be the best stadium in the championship, so there's that.
Yeah. I don't know if you saw what the Pickford, people talk about Pickford, and I agree he's a great keeper, obviously, but the last goal they scored, he's just kind of in no man's land. He came out and just kind of did this awkward jump, and you're kind of like, what are you doing? This is the 98th minute, whatever it is. Like,
don't jump
if
out.
If you're going to come out and claim it, you have to come
underground. Yeah.
And if you're going to come out and claim it, you got to get it. You have to be there if you're going to make that choice. And he kind of just waited, and it was bad. Very, very bad.
I mean, it looked like, and you knew, man, the moment it became 2-2, you're like, there's only one way this game is going to go. If anybody's going to score, it's going to be Bournemouth. I mean, to credit to Pickford, he pretty much made 2 huge saves, like 60 seconds before that one. So it could have been 4-2 before it was all said and done. But I mean, it was comical, but nothing makes my day. That made my Saturday, but then Sunday came. So there's that. So we'll get to that. West Ham 1. City 3. I mean, who the hell is going to stop Holland? Do we have to cut his hair in the middle of the night to scare him or something? What is it going to take? I mean, some of them are. I mean, his second goal, it's like, God damn it, how the hell do you even stop that? It's just ridiculous. So is it going to be the Champions League games where they have to rotate? Is that our only hope for City losing something or getting these 115 charges or something?
I'm just hoping there is a God and they will finally charge them. But Holland is on an absolute tear. This guy may score 50 goals in the league, and it's just, I mean, for one, as just watching this for so long, it would be crazy to do, especially in today's day when all these players are really good and athletic. And to see him do this in a league that's touted as one of the best would be absolutely mind-boggling. But the only way for this man to stop this man is either he gets hurt or Champions League, it just breaks him. But I don't know. Like, this is what his third hat trick already, or his second one of the season.
Second hat trick. I think it's like 7 goals or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, 7 goals.
Ridiculous.
We keep talking about this league. Can you imagine though if they get auto relegated and this man? Now, if you get auto relegated on points on a deduction like that, do you go all the way down to League 2 and restart up the Premier League, like up the English pyramid?
The FA would never do that.
They never would. But can you imagine this man? Can you imagine this man in League 2? Can you imagine him away to Bolton?
He would leave. I guarantee there's like some crazy clause like, he's gone for like $10 million in reality.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Exactly.
I want to see it.
Who's got no money would figure out a way like, all right, we're going to sell every youth kid's kidneys to fund this.
No, I want to see Erling Haaland away at Barrow. That's what I want to see on a Tuesday night. In
this off season, there were players who wanted it in their clause, like in the contract. They wanted a clause that if the 115 hits, I wasn't even here. I got it, like, I made my way out, or my release clause is this and stuff like that. And I don't blame him. Will it happen? I don't know. I was just finding out about Leicester City getting away with theirs due to like some accounting crap. I haven't read
Oh, I
fully
didn't
into
hear
it. I know it was talked about in our
Interesting.
Discord channel for American Scouser, but
Yeah.
let's hope it happens. But I am not holding my breath. So I hate to hope on an injury, but I hope he gets injured. Chelsea won, Crystal Palace won, Crystal won. Chelsea being Chelsea there. I mean, when they talked about our 6 forwards, it was like, oh, is it the best 6 in Europe and stuff like that in terms of like depth? Like there was a lot of conversation. And then I saw a photo of all the forwards that like Chelsea has. It's like 12 guys. I'm like, I don't know if you can compete with this. This is ridiculous. And for them to still muster 1 goal and only get held to a draw, is it going to be growing pains, or there's just too much drama to get consistent results? I'm sure you're enjoying this, Alex. So we'll start with
I love
you.
it. I think both. I think this is going to be all of it. I think, that Palace are not a great side this year. I think they've been in that weird like 10 to 16 Premier League purgatory for the last like decade. But they haven't had resources and money to push on, and they haven't been bad enough to go down. So they're just kind of existing. And that's not where Chelsea wants to be. And really, with all the money they've spent, where they should be. So for them to scrape a draw at home to a meh Palace side is not great for where they want to be. Now, of course, I say that, and they're Fulham are going to get spanked in a couple months, but no, this is not good. This is not good for Chelsea. It's not a good result. I can't imagine anyone's leaving the bridge going, oof, tough Palace side today. Glad we scraped that one out. So no, this is not good.
I can see them leaving saying like, we need another 2-3 players at least to keep up with Crystal Palace or something.
Exactly.
I mean, Shay, they have a lot of quality there. So, I mean, I can grab, one of these 2 dogs, put their paw on the charts, throw an 11 out there. And because of the skill, they would get some points here and there and some wins out of here and there, even if they don't play as a team. But it just feels like it's impossible to get consistent results and be a title contender with my dog's paws, if you will.
Yeah, like it's honestly wild. Like I know we talked about it last week on the podcast. We're just saying, I think I said they had 42 players technically on their books, and we were only allowed to have 22 quote unquote senior players registered. So how they have somehow got away with this and have gotten in any trouble yet? Like they're over here complaining about City, which they have every right to, but Chelsea's not innocent at all either. Like they're just been spending and spending and spending. And this new coach kind of like how he basically just said, it's my way or the highway to some of these players. But then he actively keeps Mudryk, who's probably one of the worst players I've ever seen play. And then, freezes out Raheem. And with Raheem, it is what it is. But he's the most experienced and he actually can play. But he's like, nope, I don't want you. I don't want Shalaba. If anything, the only thing what makes me really mad about the Saints, like I'm not even a Chelsea fan, but like they've treated all their homegrown players the absolute worst. Yeah. And it's crazy how the league is like, hey, you need to have homegrown talent. You got to come up through your ranks so you don't get in trouble. And Chelsea's like, yeah, F that. We'll sign all these kids that are under 20 that have no ties to Chelsea at all to get all around with it. But then we have players that have come up through the system that are Chelsea through and through, and we're telling them, yeah, get out. We don't want you. And it's just sad to see because like you're seeing all these kids, people were growing up, I want to be a Chelsea player. And I was like, well, you may not even get to play for them at this point because they're going to go buy somebody that's your still same skill set or age for $50 million when they had somebody for quote unquote free that they, put a couple $100,000 in to help, mold. So it'll probably happen. Hopefully not anytime soon in the first half. Like hopefully all of our teams get points out of this. And then, after Christmas, they figure it out, but by then it'll be too late. It's just crazy to see. I'm hoping they don't find any form anytime soon, but something tells me if they don't, watch January, they're going to have the most money spent again because they'll probably like, oh, well, we need another 2 more goalkeepers. But we'll need 3 more forwards.
And to your point, Shay, about how the new manager has kept some guys around and iced some guys out, I think that's a symptom of it's similar to happen with Ten Hag early in his tenure at United. It might still be happening now of management coming in and saying, we spent a lot of money and reputation on bringing this guy in, Mudryk and all these guys. You need to keep them around. They need to play. And if you're a manager and upper level management is telling you who to put in the squad and who not to, that's a recipe for an absolute nightmare. And they're seeing that right now. Like Chelsea are living, this is a nightmare. This sucks. There's no way out of this, at least immediately for them. And they can't. fire the new manager, then what?
It's similar to the Cowboys. Like I think Todd Bowley is trying to run it like an American sports team, and then he's like, well, hey, I want you to play these guys just because, like, you know, my kid likes them kind of thing, and he's doing like the Jerry Jones approach where there's some guy like Mudryk should have been shipped off months ago. Like after he hasn't been able to score, do anything, move on, send him on loan, do something, but then keep Sterling, who has proven to score goals, has been in the league. Like maybe this new manager could have got something out of him, and if anything, like, you know, whatever. Like I wish he would have stayed. Like I'm glad Arsenal kind of gave him an out because he's probably going to use that as fire, and you know it'll be hilarious if he, you know, comes back and has a great season. But I was hoping he would have stayed because they do like $300,000 a week. And he's just sitting on the bench. They're like, no training, you can't come to the club, and that to me is also wild. Like how they treat some of these players. You can't come to the facilities. I was like, last time I checked, he's still under contract. Like he's allowed to do this, and the fact that you're freezing him out like that is wild to me.
And I feel like, you know, I mean, new manager can come in and see maybe some guys are problem in the locker room, but then that's what happens when you have a couple of locker room full of players. Well, which locker room? He's in locker room A or B, or, you know, that's like the biggest problem. I think you can't have a good environment, but I'm assuming, I mean, I can see Sterling having jumped all over the place, you know, be more vocal and, you know, maybe speak his mind because he's a veteran player, like you said, who's been there and done that. Whereas Mudryk maybe doesn't even speak English. He was like, whatever, I'll just run fast out here when you guys need me to. Kind of deal.
Cut in and then put in the worst pass you've ever seen. So.
I would say this number
because, like, you know, from the Chelsea game. I was gonna say with that happening, like they're trying to force out Raheem, and I don't know what the reason was. Could be price tag, like, you know, not showing any kind of like promise or, you know, consistency, and then they go out and get Jadon Sancho, who's been the most inconsistent player as well, either too. Yeah. And of course, United are jumping all over, like, take him, and they have no option. I don't think they have a option to buy him, so like they're just renting him for.
Actually, they have to buy him.
Oh, they do. Okay,
what's the obligation?
If they finish in the top 14, they have to buy him, which means they have to buy him probably.
As a Chelsea fan, can you imagine that? As a Chelsea fan, your club, from where you used to be, your club is now signing players with an obligation to buy clause that says if we finish in the top 14.
Yeah, that's the clause. I was watching Goldbridge, and that's what he mentioned. Like, as one of the things. So he's got, it's low. It's only 25 million or something like that. But you know the wages are going to be crazy. So.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. If he shows up, and it'll be a great deal, and they'll look like geniuses. But it's also Kyle said, like, oh yeah, hey, if you finish 13th, you got to buy him. Like, oh, okay, cool.
I can't. That's ridiculous.
Well, I know Chelsea right now is like they're not even BCCing. They're probably just CCing every club in Greece and Turkey and Saudi Arabia right now, trying to get rid of Chilwell and stuff like that because the windows are still open there. Because I know, like the Turkish league, Greek league, they kind of wait so they can have the leftovers from like the other leagues. And
isn't the German window open a week later too?
Are they? I was not.
I didn't make that up. Okay, maybe not. I thought they were.
Maybe you didn't. If you didn't make it up, we're all for it because we don't know.
Well, I know the Saudi and, like I said, Turkey is because Victor Osimhen just went somewhere to Turkey, and then Ivan Toney just left. So that was like after the window. So they could still buy.
I know, like the Greek league is as well because I saw a couple of signings today. So I mean, I know they're like trying to shop Chilwell over there, but the problem is, you know, you can find teams in Turkey that are like, yeah, we'll take Chilwell. 200,000 a week. I don't know about that. So that's what basically happens. Yeah. So they have to pay still at least 100,000 or something like that, even for a top club in Turkey to be able to say, yeah, that's fine. We'll do that. So it's going to be interesting to see who they get rid of during this week. Newcastle 2, Tottenham 1. I really do want to get Jake's take on this to see how he views this Tottenham team, because I thought they made some good moves in the offseason, building up on an existing good team, but we'll see where it goes. A team that made a lot of moves in the offseason. Manchester United 0, Liverpool 3. We watched this game actually with a bunch of our contributors at a bar in Chicago. We kind of got together, like 5-6 of us. It was like a little AmericanScouser petting zoo. So we watched it all together. And it, honestly, we've been talking about it all day and then yesterday as well. It just felt like we were watching like a preseason game, or just like, it did not even feel like this was such a big game that we won, because it almost came a bit too easy, it felt like. But let me ask you guys this, because I think this is where I really want your guys' take. Shay, you look at a game like this. do you walk away from that result saying, man, this Liverpool can be really good, Slot's got something going here? Or do you walk away from it saying, god damn, Manchester is so shit that, they made Liverpool look really good? Or do you look at it, Liverpool differently now as a title contender? Like, what is a neutral take from this game?
I'm going to say a little bit of both because, like I said, I think Klopp left the club in a great position that most managers that have been there for a while wish they could do. United was a prime example. Like, Ferguson left a great team, and then it's been a disaster ever since. So Slot hasn't really had to worry about much because these players have played with each other for so long. So that if worse comes to worse, if the manager doesn't really have the experience, they know that they can go out there and do what they have to do. Makes him look good. So obviously he's going to, take that credit. But the team is still looking like a well-oiled machine. Like I said, I know you guys didn't buy anybody until super late and really didn't bring in anybody to replace any of the starters. So I think this team, as long as they stay healthy, they're going to be fine. And they will be able to compete with the title just because there's a lot of experience and quality and depth in the team. But United is just an absolute shambles. It's crazy how they have all this talent and they can't do anything. And I don't know if it's Ten Hag just can't get these guys to play, or maybe they've given up and it needs a complete reset. And the only way that's going to happen is if they either sell the club, which is never going to happen, or they finally get rid of all these high earners like Casemiro, get rid of Rashford, get rid of all these guys. But same thing with kind of Chelsea. Nobody wants to pay for them. They're on way too high of wages. And same thing with them. Scott McTominay is probably would have been their most consistent player. So probably a player you probably shouldn't have gotten rid of because he's been through the club the whole time. He could have at least been that one centerpiece to hold it together, but now they're in whatever little turmoil. So I still have a feeling they'll finish somehow. They'll scrape by and finish top 6. I don't know how they'll do it, but they have too much quality for it to happen. But they had to do something. I just don't know what's going to happen. I love seeing it because it's hilarious.
Oh yeah, it's definitely. It's the best time ever. My brother was joining us, and he's a United fan. So It was my brother with 15 Liverpool fans watching this at a bar. There were a couple of other tables of Liverpool fans, but yeah, he didn't have a lot of fun. He did not really enjoy the experience, and we took it easy on him, to be fair, because I think watching the game is enough of a torture. I think that we didn't have to rub it in. I mean, the thing is, Alex, they have. Just Rashford, Maguire, and Casemiro, guys that, would not make it into most teams probably right now with their form and stuff, are all add them together. It's like $1 billion. It's a million, I'm sure. I'm sorry. $1 million a week they pay for those 3 guys. So It's impossible to get rid of them. They're signing more players in a similar situation. Is it going to get cleaned up soon? It's not like Ugarte is going to come in and be like, I got this, guys, and then just clean everything up. Because it feels like, I don't know if you guys watched it at all, but Slot in the post-match, interview, he just gave a paragraph and laid out exactly how we played and why we play like that and what they do, and gave the formula to everybody, it felt like, to get points from them.
Yeah, I think it's funny because when Fulham played United that Friday and lost on that late goal, which that seems to be the way it goes with Fulham United, pretty much every Fulham fan came away from that going this United team is not good. They kind of stole this one. They're really not good. Fulham deserved a point at least from this. And if that's what United are going to be like all year, they're in trouble. Not to go down or anything, but this is not going to be a fun season. And I think the result that you saw this weekend is what happens when a team that's more clinical and that is better than Fulham come up against a team like United, where Liverpool are able to just kind of slice and dice, take chances, finish them, and just put the game to bed without a whole lot of trouble. Whereas Fulham lack that decisive edge up top to really finish them off. And so you see that of just United are the way Ten Hag has them playing. It's kind of frantic and all over the place, especially the back sometimes. And a lot of times the guys are just so far out of position. You'll see these huge gaps open up, and a team like Liverpool, better teams, are able to take advantage of that pretty easily and just pass right through and bada bing, bada boom, we're on goal. So yeah, as a Fulham fan who played them in the first game of the year, not shocked at all by this kind of result. Again, that a team.
Yeah, I was devastated watching that game. We were watching with my brother, that lucky goal in the last second.
Yeah.
Fulham, it was just being Fulham. The same thing that happened against Liverpool at Anfield last year, just being too naive when they attack And Fulham
Yeah.
always plays like, oh, we'll get another 20 of these opportunities. Just keep going and just wasting opportunity after opportunity. It's like, dude, just fucking finish or take an extra second and stuff like that. I mean, Fulham should have really won that game. And then obviously in the last second, and that what goes around comes around. The same guy is offside against Brighton and it kind of like cost him the game and stuff. But I mean, so Ten Hag comes out and says, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'm like, I won the second most trophies. And he gives us the revelation that he is not Harry Potter, unlike what most people thought. What do you take out of that, Shay? I mean, is this guy is just like, is a dead man walking? They just extended him. To be fair, they extended him after shopping around, not finding anything better, and be like, yeah, why don't you just sign here, stay another year kind of a deal. But do you think, is he going to make it till January?
I don't know. I think he's a little delusional sometimes. Like he says, like, oh, I can't fix this. I'm like, that's your job, Ten Hag. Like they brought you in because you're supposed to be one of the most upcoming managers in Europe. You're supposed to be a tactical, quote unquote, genius, and we're obviously not seeing this. But they're in the issue too, in the sense of like, who wants to come to this club and actually coach them? Like they're gonna have to find somebody from a lower team that's like it's still a big job no matter what. It's still Man United. It's still a very big team, but it's such a disaster that like a bigger manager or at least more experience are not going to come take it. Because why would they want to come and ruin their career, be in the same spot of like, well, I have all this wasted money on the field. I can't do anything with it because nobody wants to buy them. We can't keep buying players because this clearly hasn't worked for them yet either.
But don't you think some of these big guys come with big egos? And, like you see sometimes managers like, I know he was a trouble guy for him, but I can fix him kind of a thing. Don't you think like one of those guys will take
realize that they can't, then they're just like, they kind of give up. And I feel like that's what he's in that predicament right now where he's like, well, the players I bought in are working fine, which are really not because I don't see anybody from Ajax that's done anything for him since. So, we'll see. Like they extended him. They may be in that Chelsea situation of like, hey, we're getting a coach, move him on, have to pay him off, and then hopefully bring in somebody that's got any kind of quality. But I think for them, what really is going to matter is they have to bring in somebody that either knows the club really well, like has been around United for a long time, or they have to go somewhere else where this person hasn't been the most, looked at manager in Europe that everybody's trying to get. And I think that's when they're going to finally have some kind of stability. But it's United, they're not going to want to do that. Like if they get rid of Ten Hag, like we got to go after somebody big. Like who can we go? And the thing is, how are they going to convince that coach to do that? Because like I said, they don't want to come over here and have to deal with this crap. So,
and any guy like that is going to want to come in and bring his own guys. I mean, they've tried it, Alex. They brought Ole, knows the club legend, blah, blah, blah. I mean, obviously that didn't pan out. And the problem is every guy comes in, spends another gazillion dollars at high wages. And that new guy comes in and says, well, this guy doesn't fit mine. But then nobody wants him because he's like $350,000 a week and $300,000 a week and stuff like that. So it almost feels like every guy they change. And I think that's why some United fans, the only United fans that wanted to keep this guy like Ten Hag was not because they believed in Ten Hag. It was more like they just did not want to do the same thing over again and bring another guy and stuff like that. But he brought the entire Ajax over. Yeah. And it's not, we now find out that Ajax would not do well in the Premier League. Apart from that, what are we finding out?
Yeah. And I was going to make a touch on that is I think you see if he doesn't have a direct hand in the transfers coming in, then I don't know who does because we've seen his fingerprints on it. And I don't know if that's management saying, all right, dude, like you say you want these guys, we'll open it up and we'll let you have it, but it's ride or die. This is it. Or they just really think that these guys are the best move. I also want to say, I think anytime that you're in the media and someone asks you something, you say, well, actually, I actually have done very well. And let me explain why I've done very well. You've already lost. Like the debate is over. So if you're sitting there defending your job like that, you need to reevaluate some talking points. Yeah, I think it's bad. It's not good. I think the extension is, you see this in college basketball sometimes, where if you're a recruit and you never see a college basketball coach, sometimes football, but college basketball coach with 1 year remaining, there's always an extension. Even if they're on the hot seat, no matter what, there's always an extension. Because if you're a recruit, why on earth are you going to commit now with the transfer portal, it's different, but you're going to commit your college experience to a coach who might get fired. And so if you're a big top player, why on earth are you going to go to United and get locked into these high wages and get stuck there for you to go and then boom, 10 Hogs out in 6 months? Why would you ever commit to that? So of course they give them the extension, hope that papers over it, and then hopefully it works out.
But we would think, we think that, but is it just money speaks? Because why the hell would you go to Chelsea too? Like, you're just going to be the 56th guy in the squad. Like,
but
why
I guess look who's going to Chelsea. Look who's going to United. This is not. We're not talking about that. They aren't where they are anymore. The top of the top of the top. They're not where they are anymore. And you see big guys going a lot of other places who can pay comparable wages and comparable transfer fee. But yeah,
I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, if I was somebody's agent, I was like, dude, you want no part of that. Like, you go over here where it's going to be a lot more comfortable and consistent and safer and stuff like that. I mean, I know everybody thinks, like I say, probably like I'll be the guy that makes the difference, but you won't.
And then teams like Villa and Newcastle and all these clubs are able to pay big wages, relatively big wages and big transfer fees. The agent's like, I get a cut of the transfer fee no matter where he goes. So if Villa's going to pay me 50 and Chelsea's going to pay me 55 and I can get a deal done at Villa, we'll go to Villa, So that's a very cynical outlook, but
but
it makes sense too, because like you want to go to the teams that they're going to play at. Like, that's the biggest issue. Because like I think it was today they were saying like how Onana went to United because they he didn't want to go there, but like they were looking to buy him. And I think he sat down and talked to Ten Hag, and Ten Hag was just kind of a dick. He's like, I don't really want you. All right, cool. I'm going to go play for Unai, who's a better of a player manager because, like, he's trying to find somebody that fits his mold, and you've already seen him do well. Yeah. So that's where the players have to – I don't know if it's ever going to happen because, like, I see that as just a fan and just in general. Like, why would you go to these teams where you're just going to sit on the bench and wither away? Like, I know money is money, and everybody wants to get paid. You want to – this is their livelihood. But it's also, like, why do you want to be on a team that loses all the time and you not win anything? Like, at the end of the day, you're also a competitor. Like, you don't want to be known as a loser the whole time. Like, you want to win stuff and you want to, compete. But sometimes I see these players that when they go to Chelsea, like, do you really want to compete or you just want the money? And I'm not faulting some of these kids that are like 20 years old coming from nothing. Yeah. I get it. But it's also like, well, it's going to hamper your career in the long run because nobody's going to take you on afterwards. And then I hate to say you're going to end up playing in some random European league and just kind of fall off. And everybody's like, oh, you remember this guy? Yeah, cool. Then what happens? Yeah.
And I think, like a guy like Casemiro who's won everything, he probably can, he can say, whatever. It's like going to Saudi Arabia. Like, it's a one step lower at this point, going to United. But, in terms of like, I'll deal with the drama, whatever. I've seen it all kind of thing. The young guy is going there because he wants the, it's a chance to play for United. What if kind of an ordeal? So I get that. But yeah, I mean, old talents in the middle, why would you want to work in an environment that's drama is like a no-brainer? It's gonna be there. I mean, it's one thing to play for a big club and the spotlight is gonna be there, but then when there's already drama in the spotlight, you're just walking and enter scene and you come into the drama. Why would you want that, especially if you have options in like better clubs and more like stable environments and stuff? But hey, it sure is fun watching the chaos here. So normally I do like the shocks with this, but I want to give you week 3. This is where we're at, heading into international break. Shay, what is the one thing that kind of shocks you? I know it's early goings, but what is one thing that you're like, I did not see that coming?
Honestly, looking at Brighton right now, they're kicking. I know it's still early days, but just seeing that, and then we'll see. Honestly, Spurs, I didn't think they would, like how you said, I feel like they got a good team, good squad, and a good coach, but I guess it hasn't clicked yet. So they may make a late run to the end, but looking at how City is and Liverpool, they may start running away again too early. And then we're in that 3rd through 8th, like fighting again, which is good because then it's a little bit more competitive overall as a league. But it's like, when is somebody going to finally knock down City? Like thought they were coming to an end in a sense because like, oh, they're getting old. They didn't really buy anybody.
We're trying, man. We're trying.
That's literally one foot out of the door, it seems like. But then here he is again. He may just have another dominant season. I'm just like, can you leave, please? Like, it's time. I think the whole league is ready for him to get out.
How about you, Alex?
I think just looking at it, the crystallization in the bottom half of those bottom 5-6 teams, I think it's going to be those the whole way. It's going to be Leicester, Palace, Ipswich, Wolves, Southampton, Everton. Wolves might escape out of it, and I think Forest and Brentford are get dragged back down. But I feel like there's always a couple weird teams at the beginning where they're punching way above their weight, and I feel like that's going to be a pretty stable bottom 4 or 5 there the whole way. Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton, Everton they're all going to be down there. So I'm shocked that neither of them got a win. None of them. It might be tough sledding, and which is nice for a mid-table club. It feels good. You don't have to worry about it. You're like, as long as we're not, I know we're better than those teams. So Yeah, I think that's kind of a shocking thing so far.
I'll be honest, I am personally shocked with how bad United is. You would think, that's shocking statement by itself, but I really thought they made a couple of decent moves in the offseason. And I thought, I mean, my brother, like I say, is a United fan. We were talking about, getting a 1-1 from this game. And it wouldn't be like he said he would be happy with it, which I can kind of get, but I thought they would at least be at like 5 or like 7 points at this stage, or maybe 6 if they lose to us. But going to Old Trafford is always difficult, regardless of like how bad they are and stuff like that. It did not feel like an Old Trafford game. So they are kind of losing that, the home field advantage, if you will. I just did not think. Not only, you can have like Spurs, like they're there, but you look at United and you just don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. I kind of find that shocking. I mean, we were talking about on the podcast yesterday, and the boys were talking about in the post match. Ten Hag has been there 3 years, and Slot has been there like less than 3 months. And you can already tell like what Slot is trying to do compared to Klopp, because obviously we watch the team closely, so you can visually see it. And I still don't understand. I don't think anybody understands, including the players, what Ten Hag is trying to do after 3 seasons. That's kind of shocking. But like I say, long may it continue. As long as we see, like when we do the screenshot over here, this is how we spent most of last year. I remember whenever we scroll down Chelsea and United. I remember a bunch of episodes where we were like, "Who's gonna crack into the top 10?" It was like our conversation last season. So. Hopefully, we'll have those conversations in a couple of months over here as well. But, gentlemen, thanks a lot as always. We'll save obviously the international break came a bit too soon. But do you guys follow the international?
Sometimes, but probably not. Since college football's back, I'm not really focused on soccer. So the league starts back up, so we're back.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat right here. It's like almost like a time off. I'll still watch Turkey and stuff like that, but I'm not going to get invested in it and save myself for the next Liverpool game. But hey, thanks a lot, gentlemen. And thanks a lot to all those watching, listening. Give us a like, follow, and all that kind of good stuff. And hey, a fan from a different club who would want to jump on the panel and shows up regardless if their team wins or not. Just saying. God, I wish Alan was here so I could just mess him with him directly instead of talking behind his back. But yeah, we'll be back same time next week, and we'll see you guys then. Take care.